We knew we needed bail reform, but did anybody know that we needed it to the point where all we're trying to do is hit the obvious points to protect ourselves? No violent offenders out there. Nobody can provide surety who's got a crime. If you've got a history of violence, if this crime is a violent crime, I mean, really, these seem like very basic points, Paul.
Looking for reliable and convenient personal safety products? Less Lethal has you covered. As Canada's only authorized Byrna distributor, we provide a range of products for recreation, protection, and security. Explore our Byrna launcher lineup, including the LE, SD, TCR, and Mission 4, designed for different levels of performance and protection needs. We also offer the Banshee personal safety alarm, designed to protect children, women, and vulnerable individuals. Because your safety is our top priority. Shop now at lesslethal.ca.
Thanks for joining us. TPLmedia.ca, TPLmedia.ca/local if we're in your town. And if we're not, we're coming there. So take a look and see local content as well as the national podcasts that we do. And today we're taking a deeper dive on a topic that we started during our crime update last week. I recommend you subscribe and follow along with the crime update because every week we give a sort of an overview of what's going on crime-wise across the country. And this was on that list to talk more about it. Paul Micucci joining me. Thanks so much.
Hey, Mike.
When I say joining me, really I'm joining you because you've taken a deep dive on bail reform, which is what we're talking about today. The feds dropped it about a week and a half ago now. And we're going to take a closer look at it today.
Yeah, just before they go on summer vacation, on the 18th, they dropped this C-14, which is very interesting because it really prompted my research onto how many people have committed homicides on bail.
Oh.
Yeah. So I dove into it. I was very curious.
That's an interesting starting point.
Yeah. And so I went back, I started diving. I'm looking at trying to find 25 stats, trying to find 24, none, trying to find 23. Guess when the last time we reported the number of people on bail that committed a homicide?
No idea.
2022. There were 256 individuals charged with homicide while on bail or conditional release, accounting for 30% of the cases that year.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And we just dropped that stat?
Well, of course, it got too high.
Yeah.
And that happens, recently. I don't know if you've followed this, but Stats Canada laid off a bunch of people. So what happens with Stats Canada, as you look at kind of the ebb and flow of employment, as soon as a stat becomes too difficult for the government to deal with, we just lay off that group or lay out that division, and then off it goes.
That watchdog is now gone.
Right. So if you look at it, we have about 2025. We had 788 victims to homicide.
Okay.
So it's roughly stayed fairly flat. It's 1.91 per 100,000 population, which it's funny. When we do report the number, everyone always says, oh, that's a low number compared to the U.S., which is roughly 3 point something.
Okay, compare that to the U.S. for me.
It's half.
Okay.
Right. So if you look at it, we're roughly half of what the U.S. is. So that's the stat we always throw on the table. But we don't focus on the fact that the number includes a third of the people that are out on bail that do commit the crimes of murder. So, and then I went back and I actually looked, and the one that came to mind, the one that popped up was one that I think Pierre Polyev always refers to, and this is the young lady in Brampton that's killed by her partner who was out on gun charges. Mm-hmm. So he was given bail. He had a violent past. He was given bail, and it's Paul Henderson and Flo Bellman basically saying that the court protected
the criminal in
this person, let them out. They committed the crime. They were mad that they were in there for partner violence, got out and shot their daughter. And, we just hear that time and time again. And, being familiar with Peel, I dug into it, and I said, okay, what happened out of that? Like, what was the result of that? Well, the police crew or the police chiefs from Peel all came together, and they came up with a set of recommendations. And this took a while. It was in 2025. and which is interesting because the recommendations were review and expand reverse onus provisions for bail in cases involving violent crime, serious offenses, and organized crime. These offenses include car thefts, home invasion, human trafficking, and drug smuggling. They wanted to actually have more money into jails and policing. Well, that made sense because they know there's a backlog. And basically, they wanted to prioritize victim safety in bail and release decisions.
Right.
So that's currently not in there, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Because prior to C14, your ability to get bail was based on the definitions. It's 3 categories.
Right.
And so they didn't have that in there, which I thought was just bizarre in my mind.
In the new reform version of this bill that's been put forward, it's interesting because I took a look back, and just in March alone, the Conservatives put forward bills that are very, very, I would say, really more detailed than what came out in this bail reform. I'll give you one. Bill C-246, make sure sexual predators receive consecutive sentences so each offense is recognized and punished. That was thrown out. Bill C-220, end leniency for non-citizens convicted of serious crimes and ensure deportation instead of special treatment. That one got voted down. Bill C-243, stop yearly parole hearings that force victims' families to relive the trauma again and again. Jail, not bail. So just even those 3 in the last year prior. And of course, I think I recall when Poilievre came out with these suggestions on the basis of the recommendations of the chiefs of police. I think that at that point, the Liberals were like, don't worry about it. We're already working on something.
They did every time. He was either before or after them. But, Mike, and I don't know if you mentioned it, 274. Did you call up 270? Because
no, that wasn't on my list because it's a little earlier.
So 274, this is the one that it died on the order paper.
Right.
It created a strict rule where anyone accused of 3 or more serious crimes that carry a maximum penalty of 5 years or more, would automatically presume to need jail while awaiting making bail highly unlikely for chronic offenders.
And the Liberals said to that's a hollow statement. It's not even law. It's a very specific thing. 3 strikes and you're out is a pretty consistent law in a lot of countries now.
Right. So here you had the Conservatives putting very specific motions in bills and putting them up and putting them up and putting them up. So waiting. And the whole time, as you mentioned, the Liberal government's saying, it's coming. So Sean Fraser, right?
Yep.
He's the minister in charge of this. Now, Sean has a lot of interesting portfolios that he looked at, immigration, housing, that he made a horrific mess out of, and I think has been duly noted with a lot of people. He's been given this file, and so he kept saying, it's coming. Well, it came just before they left for summer vacation.
And it arrived, do you mind me mentioning, it arrived on a Friday late in the day.
Yeah.
There's something to that. I'm sorry, but if you're expecting the media to cover something, that's not the time of the week and the time of day that you do it. You do that to avoid scrutiny.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Now, C14, can we spend a few minutes? Because those people, right?
I need to unravel that.
Yeah. So it makes bail harder to get for those accused of repeat and violent offending by creating new reverse onus rules in certain cases, meaning the accused must show why they should be released.
Right.
Right? That sounds great. When I read it, it's funny. I've read this a couple times now, the other day on the crime show, and I've read it in prep, and then I read it in prep again today. I'm reading it, and I'm thinking, okay, that sounds good. Right?
Well, however, it also requires, first of all, it sounds okay because it's the first thing that it's the headline. Yeah, violent criminals won't get out on bail. They need to prove it to us. And okay, continue on into this.
Yeah, directs police to detain an accused for a bail hearing when it is necessary to protect the public, including victims and witnesses. Makes sense, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, another great headline. The things that we really expect our government and our law enforcement already to do.
Requires courts to consider more factors at bail hearings, whether the allegations involve violence that was random or unprovoked.
Okay.
So in other words, if you just got attacked for walking down the street, then that must be considered. Makes sense.
Fair. Yep.
Requires courts to consider whether the accused has numerous or serious outstanding charges when determining when to grant them bail. Now that seems like a no-brainer, but I'm going to go back into where we're coming from. Where we were coming from before, so in the legislation that's in place now, for just another 30 days till the new legislation gets enacted, this C-14 didn't require that.
Right. So,
which is odd to me that you wouldn't look at that. You wouldn't ask the question. So now you have to ask that question.
it seemed, by the way, if you don't mind me saying, that seems ridiculous already that we, for so many years, just handled it that way. And I think people don't even understand how bail works in this country. We'll touch on that, I'm sure.
Requires courts to consider weapons bans in most cases.
Yeah.
So you can't carry a weapon after you get out.
Okay.
Wow. So that requires courts to look more closely at an accused bail plan when a reverse onus applies.
Right.
So we're gonna jump into it for a minute, but in the current system, if you think that you're not going to get bail or you're going to get denied bail, you go to a lawyer and you actually get the lawyer to create a bail plan.
Yeah.
The bail plan sets out, you agree to an ankle bracelet on your leg, you agree to not carrying a gun, all those things. It prohibits courts from naming anyone as a surety who was convicted of a serious crime in the past 10 years. So this just seems like a no-brainer, right? Like, I can't get
How badly have we managed this? That common sense, simple common sense checkbox points have been missed for so long. I mean, that's in many ways to me the biggest topic here. We knew we needed bail reform, but did anybody know that we needed it to the point where all we're trying to do is hit the obvious points to protect ourselves? No violent offenders out there. Nobody can provide surety who's got a crime. If you've got a history of violence, if this crime is a violent crime, I mean, really, these seem like very basic points, Paul.
They do. Well, and the interesting part, they're all in these bills that have actually been denied or turned down or said, just wait, it's coming.
I almost think the specificity of these ones was too much for our government to get on side with.
Now, it has tougher sentencing laws, too. It requires consecutive sentences for violent auto theft and break and enter.
Right.
Which doesn't exist today.
Okay. That's also wild.
Requires consecutive sentences for extortion and arson.
Okay.
Requires judges to consider...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Arson.
Arson and extortion, two topics that we consistently have on our crime shows.
Oh, yeah. Every week.
This one was overdue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we waited since, we started hearing about it through COVID, remember?
Right.
That became all the thing.
Yeah.
Requires judges to consider consecutive sentences for repeat violent offending, which I actually thought was in place.
I thought so too.
Yeah. Anyways, but
well, that's my point. We let it go to the point where, if you do something highly unlikely, and I show up as a surety, also highly unlikely.
Yep.
There was no guarantee that I was going to even monitor you in any way. There's no guarantee previously or up to this point that I don't have a crime that I've got outstanding on the books. So a criminal could get another criminal out of jail till trial. Seems like an incredibly wild scenario.
Well, right now, the criminal code mandates that the bail judges can basically consider three factors. There's the primary, secondary, and tertiary grounds.
Okay.
So the primary grounds, the judge looks for, do you have ties to the existing jurisdiction? And what they're trying to find, is there a flee issue?
Yeah.
You're not going to attend court.
Yeah.
So do you have a history of not coming? So when you commit that crime and you go there to get your bail, they'll ask you a set of questions, where do you live? Do you have ties? Do you have family? They'll look at your history to say, do you have a history of not showing up for your bail hearings? Is there an evidence that you could flee or that you have the means to flee?
Right.
Right. We always hear about that, right? The second one, which is interesting, are you likely to endanger public safety or interfere with the administration of justice while on bail?
That's a tertiary. That's
The secondary
That's
one.
a secondary. Okay.
That's a secondary one. So,
Okay.
so,
It seems like a primary one, but okay.
so they ask you, do you have a criminal record? Do you
Yeah.
have a history of not complying with your bail conditions? Relationship with the deceased? Or do you have you made threats to witnesses in the past?
Okay.
So they look at all those things. The strength of the prosecution against you. So whether or not, they have good evidence that you did it. Were you holding the smoking gun?
Yeah. Is it a
Those
shut
type
and
of
dry
things.
case? Right.
Yeah. And then the last one, the third one they consider, which again is very interesting. Would your release offend a reasonable member of the public?
Oh, so that's the gauge that they use. Would a reasonable member of the public be okay with you being out on bail?
Yeah. So now they have to determine. It's not Joe who calls.
I guess so.
So now a reasonable member. So they have to define it's up to the judge to define what he considers
Right.
a reasonable public member.
Yeah.
So if he says, I don't think the guy, Joe, who calls the radio show ranting and raving is reasonable. Therefore, he says he ups the standard. So the gravity of the crime, the strength of the prosecution's case, whether they had a firearm. So those are the things that they look at, and then they create a bail plan,
Right.
right? So after these three factors, they actually sit down and then they start to negotiate, and they talk about who will supervise you, where you live, restrictions on your address, curfews, GPS bracelets, restrictions of phone and internet, prohibitions of operating a car, who you can actually communicate with, so you don't go communicating with the witnesses. So they create that list, they create a plan, your lawyer takes it, and then basically the judge determines if you get out.
Okay.
And so that's what exists today.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds a little loose, to be honest with you, in a
Well,
lot of ways.
Based on Bill C-14 and the number of new things they've introduced that we thought were in here and they were doing already.
Yeah.
Right?
It seems like it was a pretty loose shoe.
Oh, sure. Well, we just went through it. Quite frankly, if we're now looking at reverse onus, we're looking at accused bail hearings necessary to protect the public.
And the feds are passing this down. This is not a federal. This is not just for federal cases. The government has said, okay, provinces, you got this. This one's on you. Here's the guidelines by which you're going to operate. But now it's in your court. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Go and enact this.
Yes.
This sounds like it could break pretty. I hate to be down on bail reform. I just want the right bail reform, just like anybody. But this seems like it could break between Ottawa and any of the provinces because they have to be retrained. This sounds like more strain on the court system that is already really under a lot of stress.
Right.
It sounds like we're going to need more places to incarcerate people.
Yes.
Which we're already short on. It feels like my first blush opinion, and maybe you'll set me straight on this, that the government went, not our problem. That's what this bail reform feels like to us. We made an election promise. You guys go and deal with it. Here's the terms.
Yeah. Make sure it's reverse onus, and you have to define it now.
Right.
So you have to come out and you have to not only define it, you have to then define it, train it for consistency.
Okay.
You know how hard that's going to be? Like, seriously, like, think about it. So now,
What do they call that? That precedence. Everything's going to be based on precedence and interpretation of this law, and judges are going to be drawing on it. Now we've got, before we even get to trial, we have a caseload just for bail.
yeah.
I wonder what the hybrid is on this one.
What the hybrid? Well, to me, listen, when they said reverse onus, to me, I thought that we would actually open something up and we'd see a plan of, you have to, if you if you murdered someone, if you used a gun, if you, like, here are the, the weapons and everything. If you use those, you don't get bail. Like, these are the things that, the point system, there'd be a point system that would actually make it almost impossible because you get 5 points if, you had premeditation. You'd get 6 points if you used a gun. You'd get.
If that's not how they're doing it, Paul, that's how they should be doing it.
Well, you'd think so. In
you
anything,
qualify
there'd be a
against-
scoring mechanism
Yeah.
to determine a point system, and if it's over that point system, and then you would create a set of training for the judges that they could actually figure out how to use the point system. So therefore, you could create a precedent that was consistent across all the provinces.
But not this.
No, well, the feds don't. The feds didn't drop anything with it. So
No,
the
they
feds,
said they're going to give a guideline
yeah.
of what's acceptable and not acceptable, but then they're going to leave it in the hands of judges. Do we even have enough judges? I don't think we do. Who are going to then decide whether or not we can put somebody in jail, into incarceration, into a system that doesn't have enough beds for prisoners already. So what the feds have done is said, make it harder, and by the way, we're not making it easier for you. That's what I found. I saw that they put $3.9 billion aside for prisons in Ontario.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
But the $3.9 billion really needs to go to restoring and retrofitting the ones that we already have. And we are so over. I think that we are 2,400 prisoners more than we can handle in our prison system now.
Yeah.
What do we do with this, Paul?
Well, with more people not getting, well, here's the thing. Optically, it looks like more people aren't going to get bail.
Right.
But right now, based on the way this has been released, who knows, right? Because whatever the precedent, whatever they decide to train, however they do it, they haven't unrolled that yet. They haven't unleashed that or told us what it is. It sure puts the premiers in an odd spot.
Yeah.
So now, if I'm a premier, I've been handed the ball. Here's the ball. You figure out what you want to do for training your judges for the criminal offenses. And if you do it wrong and someone gets hurt, like this poor lady that got killed in Brampton, then they're going to point at you.
Yeah, that's
They're not going to point at us because we gave it to you to
Yeah.
figure out. So now
we came up with a solution, and you were supposed to do it, and you didn't do it.
here's the hot potato, pass to you. Good luck, right?
Yeah.
So now if I'm a premier, I got a bunch of issues, right? Yeah, I can go and I can make bail reform really tough. Can't do this, can't do that, you can't do this. You can make all those things. You can put it in. Okay, where do you put the people? So now you're in a catch-22, right?
Where do you get the courtrooms? Where do you get the judges?
Yeah.
There's a whole new team of bail judges that we need now.
Well, that's the thing. You create a bail court. So you create a bail court, and you create a scoring system or a mechanism. Fine. You get there and you get to bail court, and maybe you're super good at it. So say within 6 months, you've created a system where you can click through it. You can get 30, 50, 60, 100 people a day through it. You get people through it. You get rid of the backlog. But it's so onerous because politically you don't want to be on the hook for it, that now you have to send them somewhere. Now I got them.
I get you. The more of these cases that get stopped at the bail end of things, the more stats you have on crime.
So where do you send them? Detention centers?
I don't know.
Yeah, but detention centers are heinous. Detention centers right now are worse than prisons.
Yeah, people on the floors.
There's cot after cot after cot. It's communal. There's lots of crime. There's lots of assaults. It's really bad.
Yeah, when you're short 2,400 prisoner cells for the people who've already been tried and convicted.
Yeah,
I don't know where you put the bail people.
Well, that's the thing. Then I was just before the show, I was having a conversation with someone who was telling me a story about a friend of theirs who is in a policeman, and they basically are fairly tough from what they're saying and difficult sometimes. But they were complaining about how bad the detention centers were.
Yeah, they're
Like
apparently
how ugly they've gotten and how much crime is inside the detention centers inside of Canada. So how fast can you go to build? Like you know the stats, right? Like when I started off the show, there's roughly 800 murders a year. There's 239 per 100,000 motor vehicles thefts. We know the fraud rate is 436 per 100,000 people. We know cybercrime is 225. Hate crime is 4,882.
And we know the approximate
in 2025. So we know all those stats.
And we know the approximate sentencing against each of those.
Right. But the problem is you can't sentence because you have nowhere to put them.
Yeah.
which we're still in the same place we were 6 months ago when we did the show on jails.
Well, bail reform's okay. So then you get to go home. Okay, we hope that you'll show up.
Yep.
But then you show up for your trial and you get sentenced at that point. Do we stay your sentence? Do we commute your sentence? What do we do? How much of that then becomes a problem because we've got so many people awaiting trial in jail?
Right. Yet, okay. So yet we have a construction. So in many provinces, we have a construction industry that's decimated.
That's
right.
That's the truth right now.
When we talk about skilled trades, you couldn't find a better place to hone your skills to build something than a prison.
Yeah, even real estate is not at a premium that it was, just even a few months ago.
Well, and for the most part, you're going to be building that prison outside the city in a farmland or somewhere, and the city will accept you. Quite frankly, it gets through all your bylaw exemptions, go forward, and you're going to be building the prison there. The city's happy to have you because that major factory that kept the city alive is now gone, so it has a huge amount of employment. Now, when you look at let's talk about that for a minute. And, the number of prisons. So the number of prisons, I think before the show, we were looking at it. It's like 261 prisons across Canada.
Yeah, I had that jotted down.
Compared to like 4,000 in the U.S.
We've got, 3,940 jails in the U.S. 111 of them are federal. State jails, 968. Private confinement facilities, and I don't really know what that is, 82.
Right.
So that means private prisons, I suppose.
Private prisons.
They've got 82. So a small percentage of their prisons are privately run.
Right.
Okay.
But a lot of public-private partnerships on those.
Okay. Yeah. But I see what you're saying. Their numbers match their prison requirements.
Well, but ours is what, 261 or something? It's some crazy
216.
216.
Yeah.
So 216 versus 4,000. So even if we're 10 times the population in the U.S., right? So we're roughly 216. We're 2,000, right? If we were the U.S. And then...
Oh, so we have our rate of incarceration capacity, and you mentioned this earlier. This is stunning. 531 in the U.S. That's the U.S. rate per 100,000. In Canada, it's 98. So,
yeah,
there is a huge deficit just in planning. Your stats show planning is not part of our.
No, we underplan this horrifically.
Yeah.
Like, so in the criminality world, we definitely missed the target. Someone dropped the ball on putting up the red alert that we needed to be building prisons in a more frequently.
Well, when you do that, you're admitting that you have a crime problem in your country.
Well, when I kicked off the show, I said the 2,000, even homicides for 2022. If I don't report the stats, and I don't want to tell you how many people are being arrested and what your crimes are, and I don't have any analytics to tell me what they are, where they are, how they're happening, why would I spend the time to actually try to build jails to house the people because I'm trying to deny that I'm having any of it happening. We went into denial. We came out of COVID with a pure denial of our criminal rates.
Right.
We wanted to pretend that we were Canada the good, that we weren't having crime. So what we did is we started pretending we didn't need bail reform, prisons. It is total denial on our part. And it's crazy that we keep doing it because people are talking about, it's no secret. People are not talking about it. You just have to watch the news every morning. We all know it.
Having to create a law that says end leniency for non-citizens convicted of serious crimes. What the hell? Of course.
Yeah.
I mean,
if I'm sitting there, you spent a lot of time, Mike, in the movie business. Actually, when I first met you, you and I met a gentleman who went and scouted sets.
That's right.
Right. So to me, right away, my mind goes, and I'm not trying to, pretend I could fix this problem, but right away, my mind goes to get the heck out there and find large warehouse, empty buildings and rural communities that would accept a prison or a detention center at multiple levels, right? Remember, Kingston used to have the worst offenders. They used to have the baddest of the bad.
Millhaven and all of those. Yeah,
Exactly. So you find areas that you can ship different levels of criminals into. So, based on the type of crime, and then quite frankly, and whether you're trying to rehab them or not. That's the other thing, or whether they're rehabable, because quite frankly, the chances of rehabbing someone who's a sociopathic murderer, who's killed, 8 people, is way different than, someone who just created manslaughter in a fight outside a bar. Right. So there's different levels.
And I think that there is a certain amount of that now. However, the facilities are double timing and triple timing for purpose.
Yeah. Everyone's everywhere. Everyone's in each one of them, whether it's a detention center, whether it's a prison. But to me, it would be getting out there quickly now and trying to figure out, not build buildings. It'd be trying to retrofit buildings that exist to try to put people into place, because you're behind the 8 ball. You went into denial after COVID. Now you're behind the 8 ball. You have 2,400 people coming into the system now. You do this new bail onerous if you actually get the province. So now here's the interesting. Let's play the devil advocate here.
Yeah.
Right? You're the province, right? I'm the federal government. Okay. Mike, I want you to use the reverse onus process for your jail reform.
Okay.
Right? You're going to look at it and you say, oh, crap.
I don't have the means to do this.
Right. So, but what you're going to say, so then what I would do if I'm in your shoes, I'm sitting in your shoes, what I would do is I would say, okay, I'll do it. I'm going to make it very tough. And I'm going to back up criminals out the wazoo. So I'm going to put all these people, and I'm going to come back to you and say, you're the one who wanted me to do it. I've done it now. Where do I put them? Now I would take the ball and lob it back over the fence. That's all I would do is I throw it back over the fence.
I need more prison money.
Yeah. No, you see, I would go even further. I would actually do it even further. I need more prison money, and you need to build them.
Yeah.
Because I don't want the contracts. Who wants a prison contract? Think about it.
That's a good point.
You are the premier that brought prison. Yeah. You're the prison premier.
Yeah.
Right? I would throw that back to the prime minister, right? And say, no, you be the prison prime minister.
Yeah, you be the jailer.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
You be the jailer. I don't want to be the jailer. I don't want to be known, because every one of those people you throw in jail, quite frankly, has a family, and they're not going to vote for you. Like, this is all about politics, right?
For God's sake,
we're throwing the ball back across the fence, right? And no one wants it to land on their side of the fence. And where we're going to end up? We're going to end up what? Not doing anything again?
Probably.
But I think you can't. Because I think the mistake that's made here, I think where Sean Fraser, Bill C-14, the mistake that was made here is it goes to the premiers. The premiers can't ignore it now. It's almost like they have to make reverse onus so tough that bail can't be achieved.
Right.
Because now if you let loose, and something happens.
It's on the province. It's on the premier. That's true.
Right. Now, and now think about it. It's closer to home. Before, when it's in the federal side and these crazy 3-factor rules and everything, the province could say, well, it's happening because of the feds. It's happening because of the criminal code.
Right.
Now the criminal code's on you. If it happens, you're the premier of that province.
It's your responsibility.
Oh, the citizens are going to be really mad, right? Yeah. The citizens are going to be like, so as soon as Jane or Jimmy's parents get up crying on that mic, on that hot mic, and start telling the story how you're the bail offender who got off came and killed their son or daughter. Ooh,
especially after you had the chance and you got new rules and you were mandated by the government to do this.
No, it's a tough situation. It literally puts them in a very awkward spot.
It totally does.
Yeah, it puts them. So now if I'm sitting in their shoes, I'm like, I got it. Can't get bail. Give me the money. Well, I don't have the money. What money would I have? Well, you're the one you gave me the reverse onus. Now you give me the money to build the jails.
Okay, so now
he's already $78 billion in debt, right?
Right.
He's got to spend.
Where's he getting the money to build my jails?
You can't take defense money because, quite frankly, you got to show the G7 and you got to show NATO and everyone that you have the money to put into defense now. So where are you going to get that? You can't take it out of what? Seniors payments?
we're watching you print money now when you do it, so be careful.
Exactly. You're gonna cause inflation by actually spending more money. So now you're in this kitchen. We're gonna increase tax. Like where are you? So
Oh,
now,
what about this? The provinces now have to. Okay, they need more prisons.
Yep.
They're going to be, let's say, in the current form, they're on the hook to build those prisons. Not just build those prisons, but maintain those prisons, staff those prisons.
Oh yeah.
Handle the loans on property and the the upkeep and expansion of those prisons now become a provincial burden.
What do they say per year? It's 150. I now this number may be wrong, so fact check me, guys. It's 150,000 per inmate a year to keep an inmate.
Okay.
Right. So, I incarcerate you. I put you on I give you 3 years, no probation or whatever it is. You have to spend 3 years. You're a $500,000 expense to the province.
Yeah.
So now I'm forced to not do bail. I got to get you into some center. You're costing me 150. That's an ongoing cost. So like you look at the U.S. that has, I don't know, what's the prisoner rate, Mike? It's crazy.
So,
Of people in prison. Wow. Oh, that's crazy. So, and the amount of prisoners in the U.S. is like an astronomical number, right?
We've got 40,000. We got 40,000 people in prison right now.
Yeah, in the U.S. it's like 1 million people, right?
Yeah.
So you figure, 150,000 times 1 million, right? You're $1 billion ticket just on incarcerations in the U.S. as an industry. So now we're 40,000. We go to 100,000 based on ours.
Okay, I was going to
and
say,
we're 150. We're 150,000. Holy cow!
Yeah.
Right now we're really that's an insane number, right?
Yeah.
So when we're turning
it's
into
the next billion that the government didn't take a look at.
Exactly.
So now we can't predict the future on this, but the one thing I will say, can we just touch on the bill for a second?
Yeah.
It seems heavily porous and leans on the provinces way too much for interpretation. I think even the Law Society is saying that.
Right.
Then the next thing is, on that note, where do you predict this ends up? What can be done about this? Does it get adjusted? Do we live with it? Do we live with it wrong and let it mount up this issue on a provincial basis? Where do you think this goes?
Where does it go? It gets lobbed back over the fence.
Yeah.
So, now everyone's, got their 22-week vacations. They're off. When it comes back in the fall, the first thing you're going to hear back to the federal government, we all need money. So when they go to the premier's table, when they all come with the key issues, yeah, we can take care of it. We have bail, but now we need $2 billion to go build jails across the nation.
And we need $1 billion a year to manage
or 1.5 billion.
1.5
so we
to
need
manage
another 1.5.
yeah.
So now your transfer payments for us just went up by that tick. Yeah, we're willing to do it. But we have to do it now.
I don't see another option.
Well, there are, but there. Here's the
do we set up private prisons? Do we?
Well, it's an interesting.
Even when you privatize, it never works here.
No, but it's a very interesting. So the approach on this is very interesting, right? Because on the Liberal perspective, they're trying to leave it loose so they can get people rehabilitated and reformed and back on the street. So I don't want to be too onerous because, quite frankly, if I put the wrong person in jail for too long, it'll cause these impacts, right?
Right.
On the conservative side, they want hard and fast rules of what you're sentencing and what you're, when and why and how you go to jail.
Yeah,
right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So, which is fine.
Yeah.
You look at other countries. I think we have to go across to other countries and see what's the model that's worked best. In my mind, quite frankly, you have to make it to the point. You have to create it to the point where you display that it's not a holiday or a vacation for people to go to jail.
To get a crime,
that
puts them in do a crime that puts them in jail it should have impact.
Right. So are you on hard time? Are you trucked up to a mining community, and are you going to work every day? Are you on a detail? Are you on, because quite frankly, right now, what do? And forget the the sociopaths, the serial killers. Let's park those. Those are a tougher case. You got to go kind of bury them away for the rest of their life, and they're done. But, for the car thieves and for the assaults and for those people, they're the ones who you got to take up and you got to get them to do hard time. So if all of a sudden all these people know that there's a consequence to their actions, right? There's this, and this, and it's well known through the community. I'm going to think twice before I go do that, right? I'm not.
You want that to be the result of this.
Yeah, fine. You can. We just did a couple shows on it, and the other one that we have to address is we have to address minors in crime, because that's become something that's become more prevalent in using minors to inflict these crazy crimes on people, whether it's shooting,
They
stabbing,
put a gun in their hands,
and then they
a little
pay
bit
them,
of cash.
and off they go,
Yeah.
and they get the minor offense, status. So they're in the minor zone. Those are the things we need to look at. But if the consequences of their actions are known and we publicize them, and they wear, I hate to say it, and a lot of people who will go crazy when I say it, having lived in the States for 12 years and seen the way different states treat crime. When you're driving down the highway and there's a chain gang picking up the litter and cleaning the highways
In their
and
orange
sitting on the side in
jumpsuits.
their orange jumpsuits, it really does. You really think twice about even honking your horn or doing. It's amazing how that kind of message causes you to kind of think twice when you're seeing it.
I don't want to
out.
be in that scenario.
Oh no, I'd never want to crepes. Imagine how bad that scenario is, right?
And that's what.
And that's indoctrinated from childhood, right?
I
So
wonder
everyone who lives in that community is seeing that, like right in front of you. They're seeing it happen.
You don't want to be that guy.
No.
Your parents have said you're going to end up on that chain gang out on the highway there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're told, and you're seeing the live example. So I like to see the studies that show the most impactful, effective way to do this, and who's done this the best around the world. Bring it. But it's got to happen fast. The problem is now, see, this ball that got rolling was C14. The ball's been thrown over the fence.
30 days, Paul.
30 days, it's in. All these judges are going to start making rulings based on the reverse onus. That's going to cause a bunch of other things. And when we come back, if they've all made these tough rulings, there's going to be a backlog of people sitting in the system somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either post-trial,
Yeah.
waiting for prison. Imagine that, being on a waiting list for prison. Or they're going to be delayed trial because there's no place to incarcerate them on even if it's an obvious case, even if it's like a clear-cut case and somebody's going to go to prison for this, they may find that it's delayed way too long to even try the cases.
And then if I'm a police chief, I'd be crying bloody murder, saying, okay, we did this. They went there. Like, I would be throwing the ball, because when I come to you to counsel,
you want my officers to make a bail determination,
right,
when after 25 years, all you've done is disable our police force, disable it. Now you want my officers, my constables, and my staff to make decisions with the courts on whether somebody gets out on the streets. Oh no, that's a PR problem for the police as well.
Yeah. But then when I go back, when my budget's up for the following year to get budgets done, and I come back for more money and you say no.
Okay, my officers can't oblige. They can't.
Yeah. So what do you want me to do? So what they've done is they've created the ball rolling on this gets worse now. So because then, the council gets it, they're going to go, well, okay, I need to do a property tax increase. I got to find that money.
Everybody's
Right?
going to pay for this.
Now you're in the middle of people's real estate values crumbling down. So those mill rates, here's the interesting part. This is kind of where it all goes. So where part of it goes. This is the interesting rate right now. So before your home was worth X. So then we're not talking about this right now, because everyone, this could be temporary or whatever. You used to get your property tax based on your mill rate, based on the assessment of your home.
Exactly.
Now your assessment of the home, the place I'm living in now, right? They sold it the other day, the one beside us, for half of what it was listed for.
Right.
So now your valuations in that neighborhood, a decent neighborhood, is actually starting to decrease.
Yeah.
Now my property tax mill rates and valuations. So at some point they got to come back, because MPAC, or whoever it is, it has to come back and they have to take a look at those values, and they're going to come back and say, oh, all these properties are actually less than half. So we didn't have to go. So then that actually, so you can increase the mill rates to try to keep the tax base. But then people are going, well, why is my property tax the same or more when my valuation of the asset that you're taxing me on is decreasing? So my wealth
Right.
is eroded, but yet you keep taxing me at the same level to keep
gonna
my
be tough.
services going because you created improper bail reform that you threw over the fence. Like it all leads back
Already, I want to fight my property tax.
Yeah,
Already, I'm at
sure,
a place
sure
where
you
I'm
do.
like,
You're-
how am I at this place? It's based on the impact valuation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
And what do you do when you get those guys to come back? It's never in your favor, I promise you.
No.
And so now people won't even fight this increase because they know better.
But I don't think. Well, I don't know if they. That's an
I
interesting.
wonder.
That's an interesting thing. I think where they're gonna the challenge on the municipal level is gonna come. People are gonna say no at some point. So people are they're gonna vote for people that actually will agree that there's no. So if I'm a politician, which we have a bunch of elections coming up, one of the things on your municipal side, you should say you have to guarantee me no property tax increases for the next 4 years. If you can't, we can't vote for you. It doesn't matter how much you like them, how much they jump up and down on the podium like a funky chicken, how much crap they do. You got to say to them, you got to find dollars inside the whatever. And if not, you have to go back to the province or the feds and figure this out, because this is it's a vicious circle you've created, whether it be this issue with bail reform, but it can't land back on the taxpayers.
No.
It can't. It
No,
can't. This is something you
no.
created, you messed up, you ignored, you should have been addressing along the way. You shouldn't have squandered the money on stupid projects.
Right.
Right. And that's why, you know,
Sorry, I was going to touch on that. The pushback to the federal government, not even at the municipal level, is we needed this taken care of, and you're spending money over 50 years doing this and this in your crazy budget. This doesn't even show up, Paul.
yeah.
This doesn't even show up. They're going to reform the law to put more people in jail. Did not include a major project that built more prisons in this country that I know of.
Yeah.
And now let me ask you this. Let's say that I'm a municipality. Sorry.
No,
Now,
that's fine.
sometimes the more we do these shows, the deeper we get in,
Yeah.
that's when I start to get fired up. Here's the one that's got me now. If I'm Kingston or Peterborough or one of these in Ontario, as my reference point is Ontario, do we get a special discount on our property taxes as a prison town? Do we get any benefits built in? Who covers those benefits? Or do I just get stuck with a prison in my neighborhood 10 years after I bought my house?
Yeah, we don't seem to, this is an interesting for a whole other show, but no matter what municipality you live in, from BC, Toronto, councils and people do not seem to be very concerned about how their decisions impact your property values. And we see it time and time again, whether it's sixplex is small.
That popped in my mind.
Yeah, whether it's anything that you see, right?
Yeah.
All these things that they seem to think that they want to densify, they want to do this, they want to do that.
Put a tiny house in your driveway.
Yeah. Put an addition that's 6 stories. You know what I mean? Like,
All right.
they want to allow all these things to happen, but yet they don't want to think about what the impacts are.
See,
Put
this
a prison
is
in
base.
in your back in your town.
Yeah.
Good luck getting someone to buy your house.
Right.
Yeah. So now that's the next hot potato the municipality says. So, okay, now here's the interesting thing that I would actually look. So this is probably going too far, but let's keep going, right? Go and figure out where the crime rates are highest and put the prison there.
I was just going to say
No,
the same
you
thing.
you wanted density. So,
Yeah.
hey, Mr. Torontonian
Yeah.
or Mr. BC or Vancouver.
Oh,
you know what? You want density. Okay, council, you want density. I'm going to put the prison in the downtown core so you can look at it.
Right.
Now, American cities do this. So this isn't something that you don't see. When you're in Pennsylvania and you go drive through, you do see, quite frankly, where there is high crime rates, and they go into those communities and they build the prison right there off the
Downtown
highway.
Manhattan.
And you see it, right? And
Yep.
like everyone who drives by, it's like, oh, that's the prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, but you know what? Why should some guy who's basically, or some gal who has a home in a nice community, all of a sudden get lumped with a huge prison, that has the air siren go off every time there's a break?
Or anytime Anytime
a prison
there's
break. And then next thing you know, they dug their way out and they're running through your city. And now you have to take your children and shelter in place three times a
and
year.
you're thinking to myself,
And that happens quite a bit, by the way. It's
why
not
did my
something
life
that's
become
uncommon.
raising Arizona suddenly? What happened here? But that was my extension on this thought as well. Okay, if these towns don't get a benefit from it, then really the prisons need to go where there's the most crime, because that municipality or that government or that area of a province is not maintaining the right level of safety for the community, and it's too dense.
Yeah. So guarantee right away people will pay attention to their, because then all of a sudden your real estate values will change, because people will, not only will I figure out my schools, I'll figure out what my crime rates are by that area. And I'll go, well, I'm not paying that much for that. And by the way, I'm not moving there because there's a potential, if that gets any worse, I'm going to lose more property value.
And because they're going to build a prison.
So
right.
what that'll do is that'll cause people who don't care right now, they sure will care.
Are we having a crazy idea? I want people to feed this back because we did a show, as you might recall, about protest parks.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was a whimsy that you and I just went down on that.
Still like the idea.
So do I. And a lot of people did. I'd like to know if you think this one point in particular, should prisons be built in high crime areas because that's what was earned in that area by that municipality, city, or town? I think that's an impact that's on the way. And if it's not thought of, it really needs to be considered.
Well, that's the next part of this whole show. At the end of the day, what do we come up with? We need more prisons.
Yep.
So more prisons. We're short 2,400 beds right now and growing.
Yeah.
So at some point they got to be built. And
Indeed.
where are they going to be built? So that's the next question. That's the next ball that gets thrown back over the wall, but it gets thrown into the municipals. So it gets thrown into some municipality's backyard.
Not even the province.
And
it's
then-
going to end up in a municipality in a partnership with the province, which is often difficult,
Yep.
with a federal mandate that is different from province to province to province based on precedent, the judges that are answering to it, the prison space that's available. This bill is an air burger in a lot of ways.
Yeah, wow. But it does cause the ball to start being thrown.
It does.
Yeah.
But it's being thrown to a province standing there with no glove on going, we're already in a situation. How can you do this to us? I think that bail reform should have come with a strategic financial plan to build it out.
Oh, of course. Of course. It should have been out. It should have had a prison plan. It should have had criteria. It should have had a scoring system. They had enough time.
Okay, we'll see what happens. Thanks for talking to me about this, Paul.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us.